Right now, as you're watching this, American bombs are falling on Iran. And the official reason for that war is one word: enrichment. Iran cannot be allowed to enrich uranium, which is completely fine. Except this week, in the middle of that same war, the United States signed a deal that hands Saudi Arabia, Iran's single biggest enemy, a path to do the exact same thing: enrich uranium on its own soil. Same machines, same buildings, and same science. One country gets airstrikes for it, and the other one gets a signing ceremony and a photo op. I've read everything that's public about this deal, and the official explanations don't survive 5 minutes with a calendar. But dig deep, and you will understand that there are two stories going around about why America did this. Both are true, and both have a hole in the middle big enough to drive a reactor through. Underneath them is the real story. A rule Washington enforced on friends and enemies alike for 50 years, a line nobody was allowed to cross that just went up for sale. Two governments signed what's called a 1-2-3 agreement. That's the legal permission slip American law requires before US companies can sell reactors and nuclear technology to another country. Alongside it, a safeguards agreement. The rule book for tracking every gram of nuclear material so none of it wanders off toward a weapon. Read both documents, and the word weapon appears nowhere. It's all about electricity. So why is half of Washington alarmed? One word again: enrichment. Enriching uranium means concentrating it. Low concentration runs a power plant. Keep the same centrifuges spinning long enough, and you have the core of a bomb. That's the whole fight in one sentence. The machine that makes reactor fuel is the machine that makes bomb fuel. Most countries with reactors never touch enrichment. They buy their fuel in sealed, supervised shipments, and that's that. Saudi Arabia said no. The kingdom sits on its own uranium, and Saudi isn't bluffing about the reserves. A leaked 2020 survey mapped some 90,000 tons of uranium under the desert. So Saudi Arabia got something no other country in the Middle East has ever been handed by Washington: a written path to making nuclear fuel itself. There are conditions on paper. American companies would build and run the enrichment, with the sensitive parts kept out of Saudi hands, and only after a joint study that reportedly runs a couple of years. Congress gets to review it, though killing it would take the kind of overwhelming majority that almost never shows up. But the door every previous president welded shut now has a handle on it. And the man on the other side of that door has said on camera that the day Iran builds a bomb, his kingdom builds one too. Which raises the obvious question: why would America do this, and why now? The first story is about the future. Saudi Arabia is trying to quit oil. For 80 years, the equation was very simple. Saudi Arabia means oil. But if you're Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince, oil doesn't look like a fortune anymore. It looks like a countdown. So the kingdom placed a new bet. If the last century ran on oil, this one runs on computing power, on AI. And AI has a weakness almost nobody thinks about. It is monstrously hungry for electricity. A single large AI data center can pull as much power as a mid-sized city. The American giants building these things, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, keep hitting the same wall, and it isn't chips. It's watts. Now look at what Saudi Arabia is holding: a sovereign wealth fund with hundreds of billions to spend. Endless empty desert, and the cheap energy in quantities its own executives love to brag about. The pitch writes itself. You bring the computers, we'll bring the power. This is not a slide in a deck somewhere. It is actually happening. The kingdom built a state AI company called Humane, and here's the tell for how serious they are. The chairman is the crown prince himself. Its first data centers go live this year. Its opening chip order ran to 18,000 of NVIDIA's most advanced processors, with plans reaching into the hundreds of thousands. And even Elon Musk's xAI is dropping a 500 megawatt facility in the sand. Nuclear is the long game underneath all of it. Today, Saudi Arabia burns gas and its own crude to make electricity. Crude it would rather sell than set on fire. A reactor runs day and night for 60 years, frees that oil for export, and gives a country that wants to host the world's computers a supply that never flickers. Washington's fear was the alternative. Say no, and Riyadh picks up the phone to Paris, Moscow, or even Beijing. That's story one. It explains why America wants Saudi Arabia this badly. But it fails to explain the hurry. Because there's a second story. When the United States and Israel went to war with Iran, everyone assumed Saudi Arabia, Iran's great rival and America's oldest friend in the region, would line up behind Washington. Well, surprise, surprise, it didn't. When the strikes began, the kingdom refused to let American forces use its airspace and its bases to hit Iran. For Washington, this war is a policy choice. For Riyadh, it's the street outside the window. Iranian missiles reach Saudi oil facilities in minutes, and they have done it before. One strike back in 2019 briefly wiped out half the kingdom's oil production. So Saudi Arabia hedged, kept its own line open to Tehran, and embarrassed Washington on the way. That put a real crack in an 80-year alliance. This deal is the repair bill. Look at the whole package, not just the reactors. Nuclear cooperation, F-35 stealth fighters, a fresh defense arrangement. This is what it looks like when a superpower says, "Come back," and lists what it's willing to pay. So here are your two stories. The future story falls apart on the calendar. The data centers go live now, in 2026, on gas and solar. And the Saudi AI company's own boss brags about more than 15 gigawatts already on tap. The nuclear side doesn't even start with the reactor. It starts with that multi-year study, then a decision, then construction, and a large reactor takes 5 to 11 years to build in countries that have done it before. Saudi Arabia never has. No workforce, no supply chain, and no experience. First Saudi nuclear electricity arrives in the mid-2030s at the earliest, so it can't be the engine of an AI boom happening today. It's insurance for the 2040s, and a slow bet like that does not explain a signature rushed through in the middle of a war. The second crack in that story is the one nobody wants to say out loud. The entire pitch to investors rests on one word: safe. Bring your billions to the desert. It's the most stable ground on Earth. Then the war arrived, and Iranian missiles started landing on the Gulf, on ports, on energy sites, and even on their cities. Most get intercepted, some don't. And this isn't history, it's this month. The fighting flared back up in July, and the deal was signed while the missiles were still flying. The same war pushing this deal forward is dissolving the safe haven story the deal is supposed to sell. America already signed a nuclear agreement in this exact neighborhood with the United Arab Emirates in 2009. The Emiratis agreed to two things: never enrich uranium and let UN inspectors show up anywhere, including sites they never declared. Saudi Arabia, reportedly, conceded neither. If the goal was to bind an ally tighter, why do the terms loosen the grip? Washington's defenders have a genuine answer, and I want to be fair to it. Better are reactors with some oversight than Chinese reactors with none. Here's what I want you to notice. Both stories cast Washington as the author. America wants, America repairs. America decides, and America pays. Turn the camera around and watch the same few years as one man's moves. For years, Mohammed bin Salman refused the strict UAE-style deal everyone pushed on him. He watched his neighbor take it, and he waited. In 2023, he made peace with Iran and let China broker it, a postcard to Washington that read, "I have other friends." In May 2025, the same week the American president landed in Riyadh, he launched his AI company and put his own name at the top of it. That September, he signed a defense pact with Pakistan, a country that already owns nuclear weapons. Pakistan's defense minister hinted the arsenal would cover the kingdom too, then walked it back. But the signal was already sent. A nuclear safety net, tucked away before signing a single thing with America. Read that sequence again, and tell me who the author is here. This looks less like American grand strategy, and more like a middle-sized power playing two superpowers against each other and strolling off with terms neither one would have offered on its own. Since the 1970s, America has sold nuclear technology to half the planet. Reactors, parts, fuel, training, all of it, always for sale. One thing never was, the ability to make the fuel yourself. Because fuel making sits one short step from bomb making. South Korea, a treaty ally with American troops on its soil, asked for enrichment rights for decades and got told no every single time. Taiwan tried to build the capability quietly in the 70s. Washington found out and made it stop. In 50 years, only Japan and Europe ever got a real pass, and they bought it with the most invasive inspections on Earth. Someone's already typing that America has always cut special deals, and they're right. It gave submarine reactor technology to Australia. It keeps nuclear weapons in Turkey. It signed a one-off nuclear deal with India in 2008. All true. But every one of those traded something around the edge of the rule. This is the first time the rule itself is on the table. The one item in the American store marked "not for sale," the thing you couldn't buy with money or bases or loyalty, just proved that the sign comes down when the offer is big enough. So does the whole world sprint for a bomb now? Well, not really. Not tomorrow, probably not this decade. And anyone telling you Saudi warheads are around the corner is selling fear. Wanting a bomb and building one are different arguments. A weapons program needs thousands of specialized engineers and an industrial base the kingdom simply doesn't have. That's a generation of work, and money can't fast forward it. The real damage is slower and honestly worse. Every foreign ministry on Earth keeps a quiet scoreboard of who did what with nuclear weapons and how it went for them. Libya gave up its program completely, and its leader was dead within a decade. Ukraine handed back its warheads in the 90s and got invaded. Iran stopped halfway, capability but no weapon, and it's being bombed for it as we speak. North Korea sprinted all the way to a working arsenal, and nobody lays a finger on it. The newest line on that scoreboard reads, "Stay rich, stay friendly with Washington, and the technology arrives with a handshake, no bomb required." Restraint now pays, worst of every option on the board. So over the next few years, watch three capitals: Ankara, a NATO member with real industry, a Russian-built reactor coming online, and a fresh grievance. If a Gulf monarchy gets this, why not an actual treaty ally? Cairo, which has always matched whatever its rivals reach for, and Seoul, which spent decades being told no and just watched someone else get a yes for free. And China? Beijing brokered the Saudi-Iran peace. Its trade with the Gulf is closing in on $300 billion a year, and Huawei is wired deep into Riyadh. On commerce, the region is already half China's. But when the missiles actually flew, American systems shot them down. Beijing sells to everyone and defends no one. It's a shop, not a shield, and every palace on the Gulf noticed. So the region isn't switching sides, it's splitting the bill. Trade with China, protection from America. So the quiet question landing in capitals tonight isn't whether this deal is good or bad. It's simpler, and it doesn't stop at the Gulf. When the rules have a price, being America's friend stops being a status. It becomes a bid. That includes wherever you're sitting right now. Tell me in the comments which country you're watching from, and whether you think it should place a bid or hold the line.